To game number 1 of Team Moving EXP up against the Doto team. We're actually running in 4v5 at the moment. The last player for TDT is taking a while to, I think he's updating Dota 2 or something, so we're just going to go ahead with the draft and then remake into an all-pick game. And so it should be a good game. I haven't actually seen either of the two teams play before, so it's always good to see how New Zealand's Dota players fare up to the rest of the world. And so it looks like Moving EXP, they've got first pick. It will be interesting to see who they decide to let through the draft, since a lot of top-tier heroes have the top tier heroes for first pick and first man has shifted around a lot. Batrider has been significantly nerfed, so he's tapered off from first pick, first ban. Lycan is being the first ban from Moving EXP. Bit surprising considering the fact that Lycanthrope has been fairly significantly nerfed in the last few patches. Lycanthrope's shapeshift no longer gives that bonus HP, which made him so much of a huge threat. Batrider actually being first ban from TDT. Batrider, while he has been significantly nerfed in the latest patch, that actually halves the amount of bonus damage you get from sticky napalm onto non-hero units. He still is occasionally first or second ban just because of his toolkit. The reason why I personally believe that Batrider isn't necessarily worth a first or second ban, unless I've got an actually good Batrider player, is just because he's a lot easier to shut down now, and Batrider really relies on that snowball effect of getting that fast blink and being able to do well in his lane. Pandarian Brewmaster, second ban coming up from Moving EXP. Very powerful ban coming up from them, just because Pandarian Brewmaster works very well in the 1v3 off lane and the tri lane, or in the 1v1 mid, and they've gone for a Tinker as the first pickup. So Tinker is the first pick for Moving EXP. I believe they've got Radiant side advantage as well, so they have access to the Radiant Ancient, which Tinker or another support hero can stack up. Invoker being the secondary ban coming up from TDT, so they don't want to deal with the Quas Wex or Quas Exalt build, and Doom and Mirana being picked up could be either a carry Mirana or a 4 or 5 position Mirana. I've been seeing that a lot more. SD instantly banned out for Moving EXP, so that gives TDT the option of Bane Elemental if they want to run that Mirana Bane combination. Not as reliable or as effective as the SD Mirana combo, because you can juggle the sleep, but still nonetheless very effective, especially if you rotate mid. Third ban, TDT taking a bit more time to deliberate, with Disruptor being the second pickup for Moving EXP. Disruptor and Tinker work exceptionally well in conjunction, just because you have Disruptor's static Storm to be the disable heroes, so they sit around long enough. March of the Machines takes advantage of heroes that are stuck in place, so Static Storm can kinetic field, can lock people in place while Tinker just completely goes to town on them. As well as the Glimpse, pulling heroes back. The reason why Disruptor is such a dangerous hero is any fight you lose and this enemy Disruptor is alive, you're going to take an extra casualty, because if he sees you, he could glimpse you back, and that means you're always going to take one more loss. It's the reason why heroes such as Axe and Bloodseeker are so powerful in pub games. Once they get that single kill, their chasing ability is immense, enables them to easily snag another kill, and that snowballing potential could mean a tower, could mean high ground at the later stages of the game. TDT really deliberating with their third ban. Moving EXP have given away a fair amount with their draft. By drafting a Tinker, they're saying they're willing to go into the late games, and Tinker is probably the best late game hero currently in the meta, just because of how versatile he is. If he either goes into a sheep stick, in which case he can lock down any carry the enemy team picks up, or if he goes into that burst Aegon build. They ban out the Tidehunter, an exceptionally powerful offlane hero. It's been seeing a lot more popularity in the last few games, especially the ESL 1 Frankfurt, just because of the Anchor Smash buff, so now being a 60% base damage reduction, as well as the fact that it could use it on Ancients. Tidehunter for Dire offlane is exceptionally powerful, because similar to a Beastmaster, all he has to do is stack Ancients every minute on the minute, and even if he gets 0 creeps, once he's able to hit level 7 or level 6, level 7, he can simply just Ancient them down using the 2 points in Kraken Shell, 4 points up in Anchor Smash, and pick up his levels and farm them that way. Bane Elemental wisely being banned out from Moving EXP, and so it shuts down all the possible setup that Mirana has. They still have Naga Stone, which is a good combination with the Mirana, because the net into arrow is a pretty powerful combination, because you need a fairly long duration stun or some kind of snare to ensure the arrow lands, since otherwise the support position Mirana that can't land the arrow is essentially dead weight, since you're not going to see a lot of points into the Starstorm just because it chews up so much mana, and Mirana's right click is fairly low unless she has substantial amounts of farm. Even though she's got a great animation and a great attack point, her base damage is incredibly low, so without farm, a 4 or 5 position Mirana isn't all too effective. So it's a really snowball dependent support hero, similar to a Wraith King in that 4 or 5 position. You really need to do well in the early stages of the game. You need a hero that could set up and synergize really well with him, since if the mid game rolls around, if he hasn't picked up much farm, he's going to taper off fairly quickly. So TDT, they're starting to sweat now. They have been a little bit outdrafted with both the SD and the Bane being banned out. They're waiting a little bit greedy with the Doom pickup, and so it could mean that we're going to be seeing an offlane Mirana. It's a pretty safe pickup. You could send Doom into the tri-lane as a tri-lane farmer, or even Mirana if you could pick up 2 other support heroes. But the reason why Mirana was picked up that early on is just because of flexibility. You never know what role she's going to fill. You even see some players actually run her into the mid lane. Although Mirana in the mid lane is suboptimal, you've got a Rubick being picked up, so lift into arrow. Very powerful combination. Rubick, however, is an incredibly defensive support hero, just because Teleconnect left doesn't do that much damage, and the Fade Bolt, while it is a powerful spell, it just doesn't do enough burst damage to be efficient. So Rubick usually relies on setup and synergy with the other support heroes. So if it's a Rubick with Mirana as a support duo, you don't have that much damage, but you've got the lockdown, so you want to pick up heroes, and you want to pick a mid laner with a lot of damage, so they could provide the damage or they provide the CC. Moving EXP, deliberating on their third pickup, they know that the Doto team, they've picked up one of their cores. Mirana can be a core or support, could be seeing a support Mirana as well as the Rubiks. They know that the Rubiks are guaranteed support hero. Mirana, they're not too sure on, it could be an offlane Mirana. And so they've determined already their mid lane or their safe lane. Tinker also can be seen run in the tri lane just to ensure they gets the early boots of travel. Since once Tinker has boots of travel, he could teleport around the map, creating space and finding farm. Once he picks up that blink dagger, it's so difficult to be able to hunt down that Tinker. Wraith King being picked up. In conjunction with the Disruptor, I'm going to say this is going to be a 4-position Wraith King, just because we haven't actually been seeing all too much of a 1-position Wraith King. A 1-position Wraith King isn't really all too effective because it's very easy to pick up heroes that could counteract the Wraith King. And the TDT pick up Antimage, but it's a bit of an interesting dilemma. While on paper Antimage does counter Wraith King, if Wraith King is playing that 1-position role, he actually kind of counters the Antimage just because he has a lot more early and mid-game present in the AM. And so while AM is farming up Battle Fury, if Wraith King is able to find his farm, pick up the first few items that he needs to really snowball, so say Armor Medigian or Blink Dagger, he could run around creating space and taking towers, while the Anti-Mage is still farming, while his team's playing 4v5. And so the 1 or 2 position Wraith King can really punish an Anti-Mage. But with the Tinker, it's a bit interesting to try to read Moving EXP's draft. I picked up a Slark, so it could be the mid lane Slark. Slark is a very powerful mid lane hero, just because he trades so efficiently with the Essence Shift, as well as Dark Pact making it difficult to lock him down, and Pounce ensuring that he has that extra mobility to get runes, especially if it's a melee one-on-one mid matchup. So if they were considering to send the Doombringer mid up against the Slark, Slark will have a very easy time, so they could use Pounce to trade very efficiently. However, it could also be a Tinker mid just because they have the Radiant side, so Tinker mid for Radiant has a significant advantage over Dire Tinker mid, just because when he goes to check the rune, he could also stack the Ancients at the same time, gives him a lot more extra farm once the mid-game starts, once the early mid-game starts to kick in, when he's picked up that Rearm and has the Soul Ring. Centaur Warrunner being banned out, and so they're perhaps thinking that could be a tri-lane Slark. Slark also is a very effective tri-lane hero, especially with the setup they have. Wraith King follows up with the stun, Disruptor throws in the connect field, Slark pounces, and if for whatever reason they happen to survive, Disruptor can just glimpse them back, and Wraith King's stun will be off cooldown, assuming he has the mana to throw out a second stun, since it's an 8-second cooldown on the Raid Fire Blast. Very efficient stun, the only drawback is its incredibly slow projectile speed, and Wraith King has a very limited mana pool. Storm Spirit being banned out, one of the heroes that does very well against the Tinker, just because Tinker relies on being able to blink into trees, spam the March machines, rearm, march, and then TP back out. While he's doing that, Storm Spirit can zip on in, destroy all the trees, find him, pull him down with the Vortex, and then blow him up with the Fast Orchid. Glinks is another hero that does counter the Tinker somewhat if you go for the E Summer build where you pick up a fast Blink Dagger, just because when you see the Tinker blink, you try to guesstimate where he's going, blink to follow him, and then just hunt him down. The Doto team deliberating on their 5th pickup. So far, they've got their hard carry with the Anti-Mage. Rubick and Mirana could be the support duo, in which case they've got the Doom as potentially the off-lane, since Doom functions similar to Nature's Prophet in the sense that he doesn't necessarily need too much farm in the off-lane, just because he makes up for any CS he misses with that Devour ability, similar to how Nature's Prophet can make up for lost gold by either participating in ganks, using that teleportation ability, or once he picks up level 6, he could use that Wrath of Nature to find farm. Puck being picked up, so it's going to be a mid-Puck v Tinker matchup, or potentially a Puck v Slark with a Tinker tri-lane. I'm going to say it's going to most likely be the Tinker v Puck in the mid matchup, just because it's the Radiant side advantage. But we could also be seeing Slark against Puck, although in that case, Puck actually has a significant advantage over Slark, just because it's very easy to guess when Slark is going to pounce you, and you could easily dodge that with the phase shift. If Slark misses a pounce and catches himself on the other side of the hill, Puck can easily bring him down with the Illusory Orb as well as the Waning Rift. And that Dream Core provides a lot of synergy with the rest of his team. You got the Moonlight Shadow to ensure that you get the jump on them. It's a free global smoke every 2 minutes. Puck jumps in, drops the Dream Coil, forces them to clump, Anti-Mage tears them apart, drops the Mana Void and uses that to clean them up. And Luna being picked up as the carry for moving XP, so it looks like it's going to be an offlane Slark. Didn't mention this earlier, Slark is a fairly formidable offlaner against a soft support, against a soft tri-lane, one that doesn't have all too many stuns. Just going to quickly disconnect and wait for the 5th player to load back in. They just wanted to go over the picks and bans. And so we're loading back in. Hopefully TDT have their 5th player, and we'll be remaking into an all-pick game. Now the picks have been decided. So for those of you just tuning in, I'm 49, Community Shoutcaster for the AGI Gaming National New Zealand Dota Tournament. And so this is game number 1 of a best of 3 between Moving EXP up against Team TDT, or the Dota team. This is a double elimination tournament, so if a team is eliminated, they still get to claw their way through the losers bracket. So just waiting for the last few players to load on in. We went through the draft earlier just because the 5th player was taking a bit longer than necessary to be able to join the lobby. But now that he's in, we're just going to wait for the last player for Team MX to jump in. Then we'll load into a all pick. Alrighty, so just going to quickly remake into an all pick game. So Moving EXP, I believe their draft was off the top of my head the Tanker, Disruptor, followed up with the Luna, the Slark, and their secondary support hero was the Wraith King. Whereas for TDT, they went with the Doom, Mirana, the Rubick, Antimage, and I believe the last hero was the Puck, so they've got the Puck mid matchup against the Tinker. The support duo of the Rubick and the Mirana in conjunction with the Antimage, and the Doom is the offlane. So Doom 1v1 up against the Slark. Slark actually has a significant advantage against a melee hero, especially a hero with very low armor such as the Doombringer, just because the Essence Shift removes 1 of every stat every time you stab him, so every 7 hits you're reducing their armor by 1. Doombringer doesn't have much armor to begin with, and while he does have a substantial HP pool, his armor is very low, so his effective HP isn't as high as you'd like to think. So loading into an AP game just to allow both teams to be able to pick up their heroes. So it looks like it's going to be Koki over on the Slark. I believe it's going to be an offlane Slark. Dofu on the tri-lane on the 1 position, Luna. We've got Fresco on the Wraith King. I'm fucking blind over in the Tinker. And Emalezen? Do forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Over on the 5 position Disruptor. Over on TDT, the understudy on the 4 position Mirana. Nado Book over on the Anti-Mage, Nenotra on the offlane Doombringer, Wesker on the mid lane Puck, and Crap Pack over on the Rubick. So it should be a very interesting lane to see. The reason why Moving XP were able to draft this Slark is just because they have a soft tri-lane, so that's a tri-lane with not a lot of kill potential, and that's because the Rubick, while he is a very powerful support hero, he's an incredibly defensive hero just because he lacks the sheer amount of burst damage or the high damage up with the other support heroes, such as a Lich or even a Tree. He could Leech Siege you and punch you down. And so unless he's able to time the lift into arrow combination perfectly, Slark can Dark Pact leap out and keep himself alive. And if for whatever reason, if Slark finds himself completely harassed out of lane, all he can do is leap into trees when the enemy team can't see him and find his EXP that way. It's one of the reasons why you've been seeing the offlane Void being picked up a lot by EG, particularly EG Universe. Since when you're playing against a soft tri-lane, you could easily punish it with a greedier offlane hero. But if it happens to be try-v-try, and they decide to send the Doombringer up against the Slark, and Slark has a significant advantage. So standing on pretty standard items, got the Observer Ward up on him. I'm fucking blind mid on the Tinker, being pulled some tangos with a ward. So he's going to be utilizing that Radiant Side advantage, which enables him to be able to stack Ancients every time he goes to check Rune. Disruptor as well as the Wraith King is the 4 and 5 position respectively. Wraith King, he's a pretty greedy support hero in the sense that he needs levels more than he needs farm. And while Reincarnate is very powerful, at level 1 it's a 160 second cooldown. You want to get the level 2 or level 3 Reincarnate as soon as possible. And if you're playing that 4 position or 5 position, you want to also pick up a Blink Dagger or even Arcane Boots, something to give yourself the ability to be able to throw out more Wraithfire Blast in the fight. Since while Wraithfire Blast is incredibly efficient in the sense that it's an 8 second cooldown, 2 seconds stun with a 2 second snap built in on top of that, it does chew through a lot of mana, it's very slow. So it gets a Puck, Puck will easily be able to dodge it. Ward being dropped and immediately being pinged out. Arrow flies out from the runner. Looks like it's not going to hit him in, just a scouting arrow. And so the Anti-Mage going over into the top lane. Very surprised that they're going for the Anti-Mage. Is a very greedy hero, especially against a Tinker, since Tinker's a hero that relies on maintaining map control for as long as possible, fighting farm, split pushing, and then once the game goes into the ultra late stages, if he picks up enough farm, and if you only have a 1 core hero, he just locks him down with either Sheepstick or he blows him up with the Dagon E-Blade. With the fact that they've got a Anti-Mage, probably will be seeing the Sheepstick build coming out from the Tinker, unless he happens to get off to an exceptionally good start. Using the laser early on to blind Wesker over in the Puck ensures that he gets a 1 last hit, while Wesker is able to get nothing. The early stages of the mid lane denies are more important than the last hit, so Wesker already is leading the board in 1 deny, throws at the illusory orb, fortunately is denied by I'm fucking blind. And over in the offlane, the Notcher on the Doombringer, very surprised that he chose not to start with boots, but he's able to eat that Sata, provides a lot of regen to himself to ensure that he can't get bullied out of lane, as well as that Seta Blast, which he probably won't be using, but over in the mid lane actually looks like a support rotation coming in from the Disruptor, and with Glimpse is able to go for a kill. Very surprised at the amount of damage coming out from them. Puck usually this early on pretty difficult to bring down, especially with just a Tinker who doesn't have as much damage as you'd expect at this stage on. All he has is the laser, which while it is pure damage, it only does 80 with one go. Over in the top lane, Koki playing very safe and very passive. He knows that it's going to be very difficult for the support duo to be able to bring him down, especially since Antimage doesn't have as much damage as the Luna, who could throw out the Lucent Beam, as well as having the Luna Blessing provide the damage over to the rest of his team. Notcher trading a few hits with the Disruptor. Disruptor doesn't have a Stout Shield or that high armor, so he's going to back away. He doesn't want to trade too many hits with the Doombringer, since Doombringer, especially the Satyr, massive amounts of regeneration. Probably going to be choosing to get 2 points in the Scorched Earth early on, because it gives him a huge increased survivability with the extra lifesteal regeneration as well as the duration. Slark 1 point up in the Dark Pack, holding his finger over that Q at all times. Tinker actually choosing to stack the hard camp as opposed to the ancient camp. Choosing not to go for the double stack as well. Very surprising. Looks like the enemy team actually has warded off the ancients. So good awareness coming up from TDT. In terms of last hits, we see Luna leading the way. Puck is actually beating the Tinker so fast, and Tinker wasted a lot of time going to stack the hard camp. It's something the supports really should be doing. But we see the Wraith King, Fresco, is going to stack the hard camp with him, go for a pull. Never mind, going for the double pull through. So Mud Golems with the Kobolds, he would have drawn them through, then continue to leech EXP. He's gone for stats at level 2 to ensure that he has 2 Ray Fire Blasts, should he happen to go in for an engagement. Not sure, with the Creep Equilibrium being pushed forward, is getting a lot of free EXP. Just a huge advantage he's having right now. But Koki, very surprised he's not going for the hard camp pull through, since this is usually the reason why the Radiant have strong lanes at the early stages of the game. He's actually going to be very careful. The Understudy and Crapback both hunting for him. In worst case scenario, he's being pinged out. They know he's there. He's going to have to pounce himself into trees to avoid being spotted, since if he's spotted, one right click, he's actually choosing to trade for a bit. Lift into the arrow, didn't Dark Pact in time, even though he had that window of opportunity, and Koki's going to take a fall. Bit of a misplay coming up from him. He could have chosen to pounce himself either into the trees there, or the instant the lift wore off, if he Dark Pacted, would have been a purge off and run an arrow, while he probably would have died from the right clicks. He really should have been a bit faster with the pounce. Was being a bit greedy. I guess he wanted to pick up his boots from the side shop as opposed to having them couriered over to him. Over in the mid lane, Puck actually is doing very well up against the Tinker. Puck with his high base damage and with the phase shift, giving him that ability to be able to trade last hits, does fare very well in a lot of 1v1 matchups. Doombringer actually being called out, eats Ray Fire Blast as well as the Luna Blessing, the Luna Beam, the Thunderstrike providing vision, and he takes one more right click, and Disruptor actually gets that last hit, so that's a courier upgrade for him. I'm fucking blind, continuing to do what he does best. 2 points up in the laser, going for the March. So it's a very old school European Tinker build. We go for 2 points in laser as opposed to 1. So the 2 points up in laser gives you a lot more damage, and then you max out the March machines. So even though his ancients have been blocked off, he's not losing hard. He's going to stack the hard cap instead. He's got a regeneration rune up on him, so with the Marcher machines, is able to push out the creep equilibrium to ensure that Puck can't push down the Tier 1 tower. And so about going for a very conventional build, maxing out the Illusory Orb, 1 point up in the Waning Rift, and then going for the Phase Shift. So it's the most mana efficient build. You can go for the maxing Waning Rift first, or going for a balance build where you go for equal points in the Illusory Orb as well as the Waning Rift, but maxing out the Illusory Orb gives you the most mana efficient build order, since the Waning Rift cost does go up when you level it, whereas Illusory Orb's 140 at all levels. Never mind, it's gone up to 150 at all levels, not 140. So the Nultra getting as much farm as he can, with the point up in the Scorched Earth, 2 points up very shortly, as well as the boots. It's going to be difficult to be able to bring him down, so long as he plays it safe. And this Disruptor rotating over to the mid lane, he actually picked up the rune, Soul Ring already up on the Tinker, so once he hits level 6, he's got that Rearm Soul Ring March combination. Now Rubick farming very well, most likely going to be going towards that Battle Fury, while Luna still holding onto his gold, so it looks like Luna's going to be going for that fast-handed Midas. It's one of the reasons why Luna is such a powerful trail lane carry as opposed to the Antimage. Not only is she more stronger in the laning stage itself, with the Luna Blessing as well as the Lucent Beam, you also have the fact that her greedy item is either the Helmet Dominator or the Hand of Midas, so 950 gold or 2050 gold respectively, whereas Antimage needs to go for the Battle Fury, so he has to spend 4,300 gold to pick up his first farming item. And so that gives you a lot more window of opportunity for the enemy team to be able to take towers. Disruptor gets another kill on the Doombringer. With that glimpse, you can run, but you can't hide. Looks like I didn't even have to use it. Kinetic Field as well as the Thunderstrike doing enough. Thunderstrike's a very powerful ability in the sense that it completely prevents you from being juke the enemy for 6 seconds. Since every Thunderstrike, it reveals your position. Before Thunderstrike was reworked into 4 strikes, what a lot of pro players used to do is, back when it was 3 strikes and it was 4 seconds apart, you could use Thunderstrike to be able to tell exactly where they were and when to glimpse them back. Since you wait for the 4th strike, then you know that's the position where they were originally, and when they'd go when you glimpse them back. Now with 6 seconds, you do get that trade-off, but in exchange, you get an increase in the amount of time that it disables their Blink Dagger, and it prevents them from being a Juku. Wesker farming up very well. He has got a small CS advantage with 2 last hits and 3 more denies over on the Tinker. But Tinker is going to be able to very quickly make up for that with the ancient stack, with the neutral stacking that he's been doing. So they really need to go for a support rotation over the Tinker. He's got that rearm up now. And Wesker's actually going for a rotation, catches out the Disruptor. One-man dream call, arrow flies out, TP's gets caught out with the arrow, and Annalise is going to be taking a fall. Illusory orb and one more right click from the understudy brings him down. And to Spree as well. So a large amount of gold going in favor of that 4 position Mirana. It looks like she chose to go for a point in Starstorm. Bit surprising. Usually you see Mirana players actually max out the arrow as soon as possible at level 3, so you see 2 points up in the arrow. Just because Starstorm, well, it is very powerful once it's maxed out. At early stages of the game, it chews through a lot of mana, and the 4 position Mirana doesn't have much mana to work with to begin with. Noltra continuing the CS, he's playing a bit more aggressive now just because he knows that he's got support there. So Dofu actually chose not to go for the Hand of Midas, going for the early tread into drum build. Very old school build coming out from the Luna, so this is indicative of the fact that MX, they want to take fights early. So they know that the Antimage is a lot greedier. He's not going to be picking up a lot of steam until later on. Koki's going to be very careful. He's got no mana to be the pounce out. He's got that poor man shield as well as an Orb of Venom. And choosing not to go for any points in Essence Shift, so this is a very scared Slark. You usually see at least 1 point up in the Essence Shift, just because it gives you a substantial increase in your DPS, since every time you hit them, not only are you doing damage, you're reducing their effective HP pool by 19, since you're removing 1 strength, and if you happen to get enough stacks off, it's also increasing your DPS by increasing your own AGI. But that being said, going for earlier points in the Dark Pact does give you a lot more burst damage when you initially jump them, especially since Pounce has been nerfed, so only does 240 damage at max level. Crab Pack just throwing out a few more right clicks, but with Shadow Dance as well as the Poor Man Shield, you're not going to bully Slark at the lane. Wesker knows that the Tinker's missing, so they suspect that he's stacking off the hard camps since the Ancients have been warded. And Tinker clearing it up. He's gone up to 50 last hits. That's almost his Boots of Travel, 300 gold away from them. If they do not kill the Tinker soon, once he picks up his Boots of Travel, the game gets a lot more difficult. Lucent Beam follows up on Notra, he pops his Scorched Earth, gets glimpsed back from the Connect field. Fresco's hanging around, Arrow actually catches out Dofu, but Notra's going to be taking a fall. The understudy's got to be very careful, he's got Leap as well as Face Boot, so he should be fine. Wesker actually rotated to the mid lane. Dofu thought about popping Eclipse, realized that Puck has Face Shift as well as the Illusory Orb, didn't want to waste it. Good decision coming up from him, backs off. And that's the Drums of Endurance up on the Luna. So with actually choosing to go for 3 points up in the Lunar Blessing instead of the 4th point up in the Lucent Beam. Bit surprising considering that the Eclipse is based off the points you have in the Lunar Blessing. So back before that was patched out, back in Dota 1, old school build for Luna was stats into Lunar Blessing just because your ultimate would always work at full level. But ever since that's been changed, the Lunar build has been, you max out Lunar Blessing as soon as Lunar Beam as soon as possible. Dofu gets a kill, loses 1, he's going to lose his own life with 1 more right click coming up from Wesker. Wesker gets a double kill, great rotation coming up from TDT. They needed to make something happen over either in the mid lane or in the bottom lane, and they chose to go for a bot. But while that's happening, Tinker picks up his Boots of Travels. 9-minute Boots of Travels with the Soul Ring. He's got 2 points up in the missile now. He's going to be using to max it up as soon as possible. And unless they're able to get a kill off on this Tinker, he's going to start snowballing out of control. It's the reason why Tinker is such a pain in the ass to play against, is once he gets that Boots of Travel, he can be everywhere, similar to a Nature's Prophet. Or even worse than Nature's Prophet. So Nature's Prophet at least has a commit a teleportation. Tinker can simply rearm and teleport out of the lane, and once he picks up his Blink Dagger, it actually becomes quite difficult to track down. The Luna treads up on him, still sticking with Agi Boots just for the extra CS. Some fucking blind, rotates over to the top lane, clears out that creep wave, gives himself a lot of gold. Well, Slark looks like he's going to start rotating around the map. Maybe he might hang around to pick up his boots to finish his treads. Wesker out of mana, farming up his Blink Dagger. If Puck is actually able to get a very fast Blink Dagger, he can start rotating for kills over in the Tinker, since it's very easy to guess where the Tinker is going before he has the Blink Dagger. Notra is going to find himself the double damage rune. Decides to hang on to it for now. Actually gets glimpsed at as well as the kinetic field. And Notra not getting any breaks this game. Going to eat a rocket to the face. He actually dooms the Tinker. He's sick of unfucking blind shit. But he's not going to be a kill. He doesn't have enough damage, even though he's got that double damage rune. Fresco runs up and stuns him in the face, but he's 1 against 3. Disruptor's hanging around the background. Arrow flies out, just barely misses. The understudy leading the charge. Tinker hanging around. Doom has worn off, so there was a Doom that didn't really accomplish all too much. A defensive Doom, so that gives them an 80-second window of opportunity where Doombring is actually unable to do anything apart from right-clicking people. Tinker throwing out the March of Machines. Very efficient March of Pants coming up from him. One of the ways to tell how good a Tinker player is how efficient he is with his marches. And capitalizing on spots like that to ensure that your march is hitting 3 creep camps at once gives yourself a huge increase in GPM. As one of the things that differentiates good Tinker players from bad Tinker players. It's almost like playing StarCraft. It's more about the macro and the optimization that the player shows as opposed to the actual ability. That also comes into as well. Doto catches an arrow to the face. Kinetic field defensively used. Gonna bomb himself some face. Fresco runs forward with a stun. Doombringer's out of mana, so he's got to be very careful. But he's incredibly tanky now, especially with that Wildkin aura that he's got currently in his stomach. The +3 armor coming out from that increases his EHP significantly. Wesker just picked up his Blink Dagger, but doesn't have enough mana to go for a full combo. And he can't go on the Slark, just because Slark can Shadow Dance out, unless he's able to kill him during the Waning Rift. But without a maxed out Waning Rift, very difficult to do. So Koki, he knows this. He knows the puck can't kill him, since absolute worst case scenario, you can just press R, regen away, and then live to fight another day. Dofu, looks like he's going Treads, Drum into Helmet Dominator. So a bit surprised he chose not to go for the Hand of Midas, especially considering how well he was farming the early stage of the game. Antimage, meanwhile, looks like he's got he's almost got his entire Battle Fury, so it's going to be a 13-minute Battle Fury coming out from the Antimage. They haven't been able to go for a kill attempt. The Understay is actually called out. He's got a glimpse, so Mirana knows that she can't leap with Envision. Eats the Lucent Beam to the face. Is glimpsed back. She actually leaps prematurely into the Static Storm and takes a fall. Bit of a misplay coming up from him, but there's nothing she can necessarily do, especially since the Radiant side have that ward over in the ramp. So if she happens to leap out with a 1,800 range, the glimpse, she was dead. No matter what she did, Wesker rotating out to regenerate his mana pool so he can start rotating in for ganks. Antimage, choosing not to go for the burning build, has chosen to max out, go for a few points over in the mana break as well as the blink. Very surprising coming up from the Antimage, usually, especially if you're going for the Battle Fury, which he's just picked up, so 12.5 minute Battle Fury. You see a few points over into stats just in the early stage of the game to make sure that if you do get ganked, it's a lot more difficult to bring you down. Then you want to max out the blink and max out the mana break at the later stages of the game. You just want 1 or maybe 2 points up in that, especially with the reworked about 10 patches ago, so now it's 28 mana at level 1 to the 16. So you can consider the 1.1, but Antimage is choosing to be a bit more active. Might be biting him in the ass. It's going to force him to go for Vladimir's offering, since he won't be able to sustain himself jungle farming without losing all that HP. It's a very greedy Antimage, but so far the greed hasn't been punished. In terms of net worth, Tinker leading the CS scoreboards, especially with all the neutrals he's cleared out, especially considering the fact that no one's gone for a kill attempt on the move, even attempted to shut him down. They blocked Ancients at the very beginning, but he's clearing out Ancients now, and he's just getting significant amounts of farm. With the amount of farm he's getting, he could actually be choosing to go for a Dagon build, just so he could press and go for his early all-in push threat with the Luna picking up a fast BKB. You could go in for a lot of kills, and especially if you're able to insta-kill either the Mirana or the Rubick, since it's a 4-position Mirana, so she's very squishy. Rubick going to be glimpsed back into Static Storm as well as the Kinetic Field, eats a Lucent Beam and a Wraith Fire Blast to the face, and Dofu just glaives him down. You can't be seen by the Disruptor. Blink Dagger up on Tinker as well as over on the Doombringer, so they've got that initiation to be able to pick off that Tinker with either the Blink coming up from the puck, and Wesker, he's thinking about it, he's hovering around. But a Blink Dagger up on Tinker, 14 minutes in. Good luck trying to kill Tinker now, especially since he could shift cue the blink into trees. Makes it very difficult to hunt down a Tinker unless you know exactly where he's blinking, or you can guess and then blink into it yourself. So he's going EE Sama style, cutting off the creep wave. He's going to blink himself forward a bit more, continue to throw out that Martian Machines. That's tier 1 down for nothing. There's no way they could defend that. And since no tier 1s have been lost, Tinker can defend every single tier 1 unless they fully commit for a push, or he's going to make it very difficult with the constant march as well as the missiles flying in. Slark hasn't actually been accomplishing all too much. I guess he wants to farm his Blink Dagger. So MX, they know that the late game's secured, especially with how farmed Tinker is. Even if Antimage happens to get spectacularly farmed, he won't be able to compare to the Tinker unless he's able to catch the Tinker out of position. And so MX, they know that the onus is on the enemy team to be able to try and make things happen, to try to win the early stages of the game. Slark actually doing a bit of stacking for Tinker. So MX, they're investing a lot of resources into this Tinker. They know that Tinker's their best shot in the late stages of the game, especially if he does go for that Sheepstick build. Actually, looks like he's going for Dagon, so they're going to try to fight this 4v5, kill off as many heroes as quickly as possible. Puck, his items haven't actually progressed ever since he picked up that Blink Dagger. While he did get off to a great start in the early stages, going in for those rotations, hasn't been able to accomplish all too much in the past 5-10 minutes, ever since he's picked up his Blink Dagger, just because not too much action has been happening. Whenever there is an engagement, it's usually just a single hero being picked off. Falcon Blind actually blinks a bit too far in the wrong direction. He was actually seen there. Could have been a potential gank opportunity, but no hero is present. Another bug. Something with the boots as well as the Battle Fury. He's getting a huge amount of farm. Tinker's actually blinking him, but he kills the creep, never mind. He shift Q, blinks out, missiles in the face just to be a bit cheeky. Doom actually blinks and catches him, but never mind, just barely off. And the Launcher is going to be eating that March while that's happening in the mid lane. Puck actually takes a fall with Slark in to get the kill, completely out of mana, so it looks like he went through all of his abilities. While he did get very low there with that Shadow Dance regeneration, he's going to farm himself back up to regen himself back up to full. Wraith King picked up that Blink Dagger, chose not to go for a single point up in the aura. Missile flies out, hits the understudy as well as Rubick. Bit surprised Mirana didn't leap to disjoint that, but I guess she recognized that she probably need to leap sooner rather than later. Slark, he's almost got his Blink Dagger, so you've got triple Blink coming out from Team MX with the Slark, the Tinker, as well as the Wraith King. Picks up the regeneration rune, so that gives him a full mana pool. And fucking Blind continuing to spam out the March machines. Incredibly frustrating as a melee hero, since you can't even approach the creep wave without losing half your HP. It's gonna hang back now. It actually chose to go for a second point up in Spell Shield. Very surprising. Spell Shield's usually considered a bit of a 1-point wonder. You want to get points and stats or actually increase your survivability more than points over in the Spell Shield. But if Tinker actually goes for the arrow, but actually Koki caught out in the face with a 3-second arrow. Great play coming up from the other side. Static Storm dropped defensively. Lifts the flying forward, never mind, that's the Static Storm stolen from the Rubick. Great plays coming from them. Blink Doom over on Fresco, but he's going to reincarnate. He doesn't care if he dies. He's going to run forward and beat Emo, since if he dies, there's a 75% snare. Wesker's going down the snare, misses the Waning Rift. Fresco comes back in the fray, builds forward, catches out the understudy. Sentry War in the middle lane, providing vision, eats the Lucent Beam to the face. Laser flies out, as well as the rocket. Wesker caught behind him, he lines with the march. And that's a 4 for nothing over for TDT. They're able to kill the Slark and able to burn the reincarnate. When you're losing 4 for 1.5, not really worth it. That's a Dagon up on the Tinker. So Tinker 17 minutes in with the Blink Dagon as well as the Boots of Travel. If he catches out four out of the 5 heroes in TDT, he could kill them almost instantly. Doombringer's is the only hero currently that would survive. I suppose Puck Cancel, he could drop either the Waning Rift or could face shift, but if Tinker's very fast with his shift clicking, he'll be able to burn him down. Book actually almost takes a 4. He actually blinks in full view. Unfucking Blind blinks up and then blows him up with the pure damage coming up from the laser. Great dodge coming up from the other side, but Glimpse comes in as well as the kinetic field. He's stuck, eats a Lucent Beam to the face, drops a Starstorm. I guess he thought some action would be happening. Chose to actually max out Starstorm. So he knows that they won't have enough setup. Actually, Wesker could be taking a 4 round and blinks out very quickly. The understudy's going to eat the laser, the rocket, as well as the Dagon. And I'm fucking Blind. He wasn't punished in the early stages of the game, and now he's making them pay for it, going for the very aggressive early Dagon build. Rocket flies out, takes out a good chunk of Crappack's HP. Crappack, good Static Storm Steel, did secure the kill over the Slark, but Slark with a Blink Dagger now. Probably going to be going towards the Eye of Skadi. No huge items that he needs to go for necessarily, since they know that the late game's been secured. And so far, the early and mid stages of the game are going very well in favor of MX. And we pull up the golden EXP chart, 7,500 gold, 18 minutes in the game, and 10,000 EXP. The EXP is a lot more important this early on, because if your supports are able to get their level 2 ultimate before the enemy hero supports are, you're in a great place to start team fights, just because a level 2 reincarnate is a huge amount better than a level 1 reincarnate, just because of the decrease in cooldown. Static Storm level 2, it's not a huge scale increase for Static Storm, but having Luna with the level 2 Eclipse, or level 2 or even level 3 Eclipse, 20 minutes into the game, very terrifying thing to deal with. Slark's about to pick up level 2 Shadow Dance, which is significant for his survivability, just because TDT, they don't have enough blind AoE to be able to kill him during Shadow Dance, and he knows this. So Slark with the level 2 Shadow Dance, he drops to half HP, he'll be able to regen almost up to full during the 5.5 seconds he has for the Shadow Dance. The understudy has been pretty good with his arrows so far, hasn't actually missed all too many, he's been landing the critical arrows his team's needed. But since it's a 4 position Mirana, even though he chose to max out that Starstorm, he's just not doing enough and these engagements before he gets blown up, especially with the Tinker having a level 2, level 3 Dagon, so no hero is safe for TDT if they're spotted out. And what the Dagon buys you, not only does it give you that aggressive power, it also buys you space, since you know that the enemy team, they can't be seen anywhere on the map. If you're farming a creep wave and Tinker TP's in, you get the hell out of dodge before you get blown up. Antimage, he's just picked up his tread, so while he was able to get a very impressive 12.5 minute Battle Fury, hasn't been able to leverage that into all too much since he has died. Undersafe comes with an arrow, never mind, Fresco spots him out, Mist already flies out, Fresco runs and he doesn't have reincarnate, so gotta be a bit more careful. Static Storm catching out 4 fantastic plays coming out from MX, Notro fleeing for his life, Book, he's the priority, he's running, Doombringer goes down, Glimpse, and that's the power of the Disruptor. Book no longer has Blink Off cooldown, eats the Wraith Fire Blast, as well as the Lucent Beam. That's a 5-man wipe for nothing, they didn't even blow the reincarnate for that, and MX in fantastic start to game number 1. Fresco choosing to pick up a few points in the aura as well as the crit. So he's going to be hitting very hard. Pushing forward, that's a tier 2 gone as well. They can't defend us even if all 5 are up. That's because Reincarnate will be up very shortly. And they're actually calling GG 20 minutes in. GG being called. MX take game number 1 up against TDT. So we're just going to take a quick break and load into game number 2.